Today we're talking about vagus nerve and what that means for your health. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in, appreciate it. Today we're going to talk about your vagus nerve and what that means for your overall health and vitality. Now you might be like, vagus nerve, what is this girl talking about? Well, your vagus nerve is one of your cranial nerves, so it starts inside your brain. But if you've ever heard of a thing called a gut-brain connection, this is it, because your vagus nerve goes all the way from your brainstem all the way down into your gut, right? On both sides of our body, it goes down into our gut. So our brain and our gut are literally talking back and forth all day, every day via the vagus nerve. Now, why is it important? We need to potentially stimulate our vagus nerve a little bit more to help calm us down. Now, you may have heard of both the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight. That's when, if you're being chased by a tiger or a bear, you need to move really fast, right, to get out of dodge. So what the sympathetic nervous system does is it allows your muscles to work really good. It shuts down your internal organs a little bit, but allows your lungs and your heart to beat faster so you can run really fast, right? The problem is, though, that many times, especially in the United States, we have chronic sympathetic activation because we're under a lot of stress all the time. So even though we're not being chased by a tiger or a bear all the time, our body perceives it to be that way, right? We don't necessarily need that. We don't want that. That's not good for our health. The parasympathetic nervous system is the rest and digest mode, right? And that's where the vagus nerve comes in, because we need more of that. Well, we don't need necessarily more, but we need a nice balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. But that parasympathetic is what helps calm our body down. It helps us to be able to digest food properly, to be able to heal and maintain ourselves and refurbish ourselves from the inside out, right? So we need both of these systems, but unfortunately, like I said, many Americans are in a sympathetic state far too often. So how can we get ourselves into more of a parasympathetic state? Well, that's where the vagus nerve comes in. And that's what we're going to talk just a little today about the vagus nerve and how to stimulate it. So if you wanted to stimulate the vagus nerve, there are some very simple activities that you can do. And it doesn't even take any equipment, right? One way you can stimulate your vagus nerve is by humming, right? Humming and singing are both excellent ways to stimulate that vagus nerve, right? So hum and sing. I've been told for a long time, my mom tells me this story all the time about how the nurses in the hospital loved me because I hummed. I just made noises. So I guess it's just my way. I'm always talking, I'm always humming, I'm singing. But I'm stimulating my parasympathetic nervous system through my vagus nerve in that respect. You could also gargle. Gargle is great at stimulating that vagus nerve. Not necessarily always what we want to do, but gargling can be very good. We could also massage the sides of our neck. In fact, I have a vagus nerve oil from the brand Osea out of California, a very clean company that makes personal care products, but they make a vagus nerve stimulating oil that smells delightful. You put just a little bit on, and then you can just kind of massage the sides of that neck, around the ears, this whole area with that vagus nerve oil. Even if you don't have that nerve oil, you can still kind of just stimulate the sides of your neck. Or if you just want to do one at a time, fine, do that, right? But that's going to be a direct correlation into that vagus nerve, since it goes from our brainstem down the sides of our neck into that abdomen and gut area. You can also massage your ears. I don't know about you, but ear massages feel so good. And I think part of the reason is because we're stimulating that vagus nerve, and it allows our body just to take a deep breath and relax. Speaking of breathing, breathing is also another really great way to stimulate that vagus nerve. So I'm going to give you two different breathing methods to try to stimulate that vagus nerve. One is to take 2 quick sips of air in and then release it through pursed lips twice as long. So it might be like this. right? That's a great technique to stimulate that vagus nerve. The other one is box breathing. Have you ever heard of box breathing? So box breathing, if you were to think of a box, it's got 4 squares. And with box breathing, you want to inhale, hold, exhale, and hold for the same amount of time. So you might inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds. So that might look like this. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold. And then you would repeat it, right? That's box breathing. It's very calming, very centering, very grounding, and again, stimulates that vagus nerve for that parasympathetic response. These might be really great exercises or breathing patterns to try, maybe on a nightly basis. Maybe try to do it like before you go to bed. Or if you're in a stressful situation and you need to calm yourself down. Or let's say you want to do some box breathing before you've got a big presentation or have some big activity that you need to prepare for properly. I know my husband who fishes, he tells me all the time that when they launch and when he's driving his boat to his spot for the tournament, he does a lot of box breathing. So he's box breathing as he's driving, right? You always want to be safe, right? Whenever you're doing any of these, don't do this if you think you're going to pass out. Don't do any of these breathing exercises if you're driving a car and you think you might pass out. But he's pretty adept at doing this. He's been doing it for years, and it helps him focus, helps him stay centered, like I said, so that he can do his job when he gets to a spot and catch as many fish as possible. I do these as well. I do the breathing exercises a lot. Obviously, I hum a lot. I do the ear massages a lot. And I do think it helps to keep us more in balance between that parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. So thanks for tuning in today. I appreciate your support. Stay tuned because I've got new episodes that come out every Monday and Thursday.